Hello, this is the video about the day one of the oil painting Old Masters Technique portrait workshop. My name is Maria Zhelnina and I will be painting a portrait of my friend Marina. I will be using this portrait of her with her daughter in a sling, but I would like a more centered and more close-up composition. You can see me working on a thumbnail. It's a small compositional sketch where I decide not just on the position of your face in a frame, but also on the values of the future painting. It is important that you have some empty space around your thumbnail in case you decide to move the frame lower like I just did. Next thing I do, I find a canvas with proportions similar to my sketch and tape some thin paper on top of the painting surface. It should be in the size of the canvas so I can transfer this drawing later onto it. As always, I'm starting with position of the head, neck and shoulder, and next up finding placeholders for facial features. We recognize people through that quick glance when we measure the relationship of parts of the face. Try to use this glance during the whole process of your drawing. Quickly look back and forth at the model, back at your drawing, back at the model, trying to see the differences. And of course, start from the positioning and bigger shapes, gradually breaking them into smaller and smaller parts. One division at a time, compare the parts, the relationship of parts that you are getting with the same parts in the reference. When you're more or less happy with the position, you can start defining the facial features. Try to draw symmetrical facial features together, like two eyes at the same time, two nostrils, two sides of the lips. Define the lines where the shape breaks, for example, where the front of the face meets the side of it. Don't forget to draw the hair. Define the neck and the collarbones. Position the collar and any folds that you will see on the clothes. And now it's time to add values, shade it. Why it is important? Because when you start painting, you really need to know where the highlight, light, halftone, and shadow will be. What material you will use for shading is up to you. In most cases, it's soft charcoal. Sometimes it's pencil, like I'm using pencil now. And some people even use gouache. Keep in mind that after you use pencil, you can't put chalk on top of it because pencil's slippery and particles of charcoal will just not stick to paper. When you shade, remember that you're not just making a copy of darks and lights that you have in the reference. You're using light as a sculpting tool. It helps you create this illusion of three-dimensional head on your two-dimensional canvas. The surfaces that are the most exposed to light are the lightest. The least exposed to light are the darkest. When you analyze the form, it also helps to see the basic geometric shapes in complex facial features. For example, eye is definitely a sphere, nose is a block, lips are sitting on a cylinder. That will help you avoid common mistakes like making chin or nose flat. Alright, now my drawing is ready. Time to take this piece of paper off and prime my canvas with acrylic gesso. And I'm going to be using a regular credit card as a priming tool. Obviously, the canvas is primed already. Why am I priming it again? For the Old Masters technique, I will need a really flat surface without any texture. And traditionally, the canvas that you purchase at a store will have a little bit of a texture. So our job is to make several layers of thin prime and sand it later so we have the surface as flat as paper. Now I'm moving my card in a different direction and I'm trying to avoid the patches. So I go over them with the card slightly curved out so that the sides of the card do not touch the canvas. Once I achieve a smooth surface, I will let it out to dry and repeat it 2 more times, making sure that the previous layer is completely dry. Don't forget to wipe and wash your card between the priming sessions, especially if you're planning to use it again. And this is my second layer. Same change of direction. Why I'm not using a brush? The bristles will leave trace and it will be very hard to sand them out. So card creates much flatter surface. I recommend using a card. We need 15-20 minutes to let the previous layer settle down, dry out, and then apply next one. Don't forget to close a lid of your prime between these priming sessions. And for my last session, I'm adding some color to my prime. It will be any black and brown you can find at home. And the overall lightness of your work will depend on this prime color that you will choose now, because this will be the value assigned to the halftones. I want something a light brown, so I'm adding some raw umber to my white prime, and that should be it. Mixing it thoroughly and applying the last layer, again in several directions, first horizontally, then vertically, then horizontally again. To avoid the patches, curve out your card a little bit so the corners do not touch the prime so much. And the last step is fixing these little imperfections here and there, trying to make my surface as smooth as possible. If you have a little bit of extra prime left, you can spread it over the sides of your canvas. And your canvas is ready. Set it aside horizontally, let it dry, and you will sand it on the day 2 before transferring your drawing onto it. Good luck!